My wife left me for our neighbor's son, but he dumped her for someone younger. Now she's begging me to take her back. I, 32M, remember the afternoon it all crumbled. My wife paced in our living room, restless, eyes flitting between the front window and the clock. She'd developed this habit, checking out the neighbor's son every time he came home. He was younger, sporty, maybe 23 at most. I tried laughing it off at first, but it got under my skin. She made these side comments like, "He's got such ambition," or "He seems so driven compared to some men I know." It stung, but I convinced myself it was harmless chatter. One day, she came home glowing, brandishing a new phone she claimed the neighbor's son had helped her choose. She gushed about how he recommended the best model. My gut churned with mild jealousy, but I tried to stay calm. We'd been married for 4 years. After all, who'd throw that away for a bit of flirting? Except it wasn't just flirting. Over a few weeks, she spent more time across the fence, chatting with him in the yard. She didn't even care that I could see them from our kitchen window. My concern grew. I'd gently ask, "Is there something going on?" She'd snap back, "Stop being paranoid. We're just neighbors." But the tension hit a new level when one evening, she flat out didn't come home on time. Around 10 p.m., she strolled in, stating she'd been discussing fitness plans with the neighbor's son. At that point, my frustration boiled over. "You can't just vanish without telling me," I said. She dismissed me, rolling her eyes. "I'm not a child, stop controlling me." A few days later, she announced she was leaving. That abrupt. She packed a suitcase, telling me she needed excitement, that our marriage had grown stale. My head spun. I asked if she was serious. She shot me a cold glance. "I'm moving in with him. He's offering me a real future." My jaw dropped. A real future with the neighbor's kid? She didn't even say goodbye properly, just grabbed her stuff and stomped out, leaving me stunned in the silent hallway. Friends tried to console me. They said she was chasing a fantasy, that I should let her realize her mistake. But heartbreak knocked me flat. I'd truly believed in our marriage. Meanwhile, the rumor mill churned. Folks saw her strolling around with him, arms linked. She flaunted this new relationship as if I'd never existed. My father shook his head in pity, telling me, "Son, it's better you know her true colors now." But still, it stung, imagining them together. I'd see them across the fence sometimes, giggling like lovebirds while I felt like a ghost in my own home. My father was right though. Better to know the truth. My mother's only advice was to remain dignified, not stoop to drama. Fine, I thought. She made her bed. She can lie in it. Then came the twist I never saw coming. Just a few short months later, the neighbor's son dumped her. All that bravado about new adventures vanished in a blink. She slunk back, tears in her eyes, claiming she'd realized her mistake. But I wasn't sure if it was remorse or just regret at being cast aside for someone younger. I first heard about their breakup from the neighbor's mother, who ran into me while I was collecting mail. She pulled me aside, grim-faced, and said her son had started dating a woman closer to his age, someone he met at the gym. My wife apparently threw a fit when he ended things. The mother apologized on behalf of her son, though I had no patience for apologizing. "It's not your fault," I murmured, still stung by everything. Inside, I felt a vindictive flicker of satisfaction. So the excitement she wanted was short-lived. Not a week passed before my wife showed up on my doorstep, teary-eyed. "He left me," she whispered, voice trembling. I stared, silent. She shifted on her feet, sniffling. I messed up. We had so much and I threw it away for a stupid fling." I said nothing, letting the weight of her words hang. Her eyes pleaded with me. "I want to come home. I realized I love you, not him." Part of me wanted to scream, "You humiliated me, ended our marriage for a childish crush." Another part felt pity, but I forced myself calm. "You left me, tore up our life. Now you realize you're lonely?" She sobbed. "I'm sorry. I made a horrible mistake." She tried stepping closer, reaching for my hand. My heart hammered, torn between anger and lingering affection. But I stepped back. "You can't expect me to just open my arms. Not after all the pain you caused." She insisted she'd learned her lesson, that she was done chasing empty thrills. She offered half-baked excuses. "He flirted first, I got carried away. Or I was bored, you were never spontaneous." I bristled at the blame shifting. "So that justifies leaving me for a younger neighbor? Publicly flaunting it? Acting like I was worthless?" She looked away, tears dripping onto the porch steps. Over the next week, she bombarded me with texts and voicemails. She wrote lengthy emails explaining her confusion, calling me her true partner, begging me to give her another chance. I responded briefly, "I need space." She tried dropping by unannounced, but I refused to let her in, told her to go away. Meanwhile, I discovered she'd told some neighbors that I was cold and unfeeling, that if only I'd shown her more passion, none of this would have happened. It felt like she was still blaming me, even while begging for reconciliation. It got worse. She attempted to corner my father in the yard, tearfully pleading for him to intervene on her behalf, claiming she just needed a second chance. Dad politely but firmly told her it was my call, not his. I felt a dull rage that she'd drag my family into this, trying to guilt-trip them to sway me. One afternoon, I saw her rummaging through the mail slot, presumably looking for a reason to approach me. Fed up, I confronted her. "You ended things. I owe you nothing." She stammered, "But we can fix this. We have history." I shook my head, bitterness in my tone. "You decided our history wasn't worth it. I'm not your fallback." She slumped away, sobbing. Part of me felt sorry, but the wounds she left were too deep for quick forgiveness. Her entitlement kicked into overdrive when I refused to budge. She started making demands. "If we can't be together, at least let me stay in the house temporarily." The nerve. That was never her house to begin with. It was mine long before we married. We had no kids, so there was no custody angle or financial claim for her to remain. She tried guilt, whining about having nowhere else to go. I told her calmly, "That's not my problem. You made your choice." She then got a few friends to guilt-trip me, calling me heartless for not helping a wife who made one little mistake. I snapped back that it wasn't a little mistake. It was her leaving me publicly for a younger neighbor, humiliating me in the process. I told them to mind their own business. My determination grew stronger. I realized she'd likely continue pulling stunts until I made it clear I was done for good. One day, she cornered me after I'd finished grocery shopping, tears glistening. "I can't pay rent anywhere else. I lost my job. I need a place to stay." She was effectively homeless. I clenched my teeth, recalling how she'd tossed our vows aside. Still, the lingering compassion nearly cracked me. She noticed my hesitation. "Just for a month," she pleaded, "until I'm back on my feet." But the painful memory of her waltzing away to another man for excitement steeled my resolve. "No," I said firmly. "You have relatives. Find them, or ask your new ex-boyfriend. It's not my responsibility." Anger flashed in her eyes. "You're punishing me," she accused. "I made a mistake, but you're being cruel." My voice rose. "Cruel? You humiliated me, left me for a neighbor's son, bragged about how our marriage was stale. Now you want me to bail you out?" She tried to speak, but I cut her off. "I'm not your backup plan." She stormed off, but within days, I learned she was telling folks I was emotionally abusive, that I neglected her needs. My neighbor, an older lady who'd known me forever, told me in hushes how my wife spun tales of me ignoring her, driving her into the arms of the neighbor's son. She tried to shift blame for her affair onto me. Enraged, I confronted her via phone, telling her to stop lying or I'd consider legal action for slander. She cowered, apologized, claiming she was just venting. But I could sense she still saw me as the villain, not acknowledging her wrongdoing. As time passed, her new normal was couch surfing. The neighbor's son had replaced her with a college freshman, apparently. She had nowhere stable to go, no job, and a tarnished name in our close-knit community. Meanwhile, I found some peace. My father, once worried I'd never recover, remarked on how I'd grown stronger from the ordeal. I just shrugged, focusing on healing. Yet I knew she wasn't finished with her entitlements. Finally, she tried one last desperate ploy. Late one evening, I heard frantic knocking on my door. I opened it to find her standing there, soaking from the rain, sobbing. "I have no place to sleep," she whimpered. "Please, just for tonight?" My heart thumped with conflict. Once upon a time, I loved this woman. But everything she'd done replayed in my mind. The affair, the smug departure, the blame shifting, the attempt to claim me as a fallback. I steeled myself. Softly but firmly, I said, "No. Go to a shelter if you must, or call your family." She tried to push past me, but I blocked the doorway. Her tears turned angry. "You can't do this to me. You're my husband." A sharp laugh escaped me. "We're basically done. You left me, remember? The divorce is nearly finalized." She looked stunned, evidently not believing I'd see it through. She collapsed onto the porch step sobbing, ranting how unfair life was. But I remained unmoved. She had used up every ounce of sympathy I once held. The next morning she was gone, leaving no trace except footprints in the wet soil. I heard from a mutual acquaintance that she ended up in a motel. She tried to call me again, but I'd blocked her number. My father admired my resolve, reminding me that enabling her would only feed her entitlement. I stayed the course. Days turned into weeks. The legal proceedings advanced. My lawyer informed me she was contesting parts of the divorce, but there was no real asset she could claim aside from her personal items, which I'd already delivered to a friend's garage for her to pick up. She had no valid argument for spousal support, given her affair and abrupt departure. The judge, unimpressed by her sob story, sided with me. We parted ways with a minimal settlement that left her with no windfall. The day the divorce was finalized, I felt relief wash over me. Now, word is she's trying to piece her life together, couch hopping, or leaning on acquaintances for help. Meanwhile, I'm rebuilding my own sense of normalcy. Sometimes I think back on the day she moved next door to chase that fleeting spark. She believed the grass was greener. Then that same younger man tossed her aside for someone else. The irony is stark. She occasionally tries contacting me on new social media accounts, apologizing, wanting to talk about us. I don't respond. My stance is clear. She made her bed. She can't just come crawling back because her fling fizzled. I'm done with disloyalty. My father says I should hold my head high. Life goes on, and I deserve better. He's right.